Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendes. This is the big match preview. Hope you guys are all well on your Thursday evening. On tonight's show, then we'll be looking ahead to Saturday's first away game of the championship campaign at Bristol City. Of course, we'll look back at the cup win against Stevenage in the week as well. Joining me to do that, first up, top right, it's Nathan Muller. How you doing, Nath?
Yeah, living the dream, mate. Easy, this championship stuff. Probably another 3 points Saturday. Here we go.
that's the spirit as well. You've even got your away shirt on again. The fact that you're
good luck, charm, mate.
Yeah, clearly. It's this year's yellow away shirt that Tom was wearing. Apart from it's not an absolute eyesore, which is great to see. And also there, bottom of the screen, first show of the season for Joe Puddyfoot. How you doing, Joe?
Yeah, good to be back. Good to celebrate the championship vibes with you all at long last.
Yeah, it's been a lovely start to the season. Long may that continue. So as I said on tonight's show, we've got Bristol City coming up this weekend. We're going to have a look ahead to that game down at ASHTON. Get a real test for the Addicts against the side who've started very, very well after, of course, reaching the playoffs last season as well. We had a cup win during the week against Stevenage. We're going to hear the goals from that game. We're going to hear Nathan Jones and Ibbi Fullah his reaction to that game as well. Ibbi off the mark as well, which was great to see. And then we refocus on Bristol City. We've got David coming on the show from the Forever Bristol City podcast. Going to hear from Nathan Jones briefly looking ahead to that game as well. And a couple of departures at the club we could probably talk about right at the end there. Obviously, Dr. Will Abbott is on the way out, as we saw earlier on this afternoon. We also heard during the week that James Brain is going to be replaced by Danny Hilton as the set piece and first team coach as well. So we'll hear what Nathan Jones has to say about that move later on in the show. I want to hear from you guys as well. Good evening to everyone who's joining us live on the show this evening. Make sure you have your say. You can leave a comment in the live chat there. Charlie, the first person to do so, is actually talking about the departure of Will Abbott, saying hopefully the replacement is equally good. Gary said, evening, what a great start to the season. Can't wait to go to Bristol on Saturday as well. Sam showing off that he's on a long weekend away in Herne Bay. But he said he'll definitely take a point from Bristol City on Saturday. Yeah, let us know your views. As I say, leave a comment in that live section on the YouTube page, or you can email us studio@charltonlive.co.uk, or you can tweet us at Charlton Live. Before we look back at the cup game, Nathan, I think the big one for me this week is, of course, going to ASHTON Gate on Saturday. It's been such a good start for the Addicts, but I mean, Bristol City have arguably had an even better one because they've gone up to Sheffield United on the opening day of the campaign, put 4 past them, could have been 5 by all accounts, and it's going to be a real stern test on Saturday. But this is what we're in the market for now. This is why we got ourselves in the big boy division.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I know obviously the Bristol City were a very good side, but it did raise some eyebrows on Saturday for sure, obviously because of last season's performance. But yeah, it's going to be a tricky game. Obviously, Gerhard Struber is very aggressive in his playing, quite direct, not long ball, but so it's going to be an interesting game. But like I said, we've been sitting in the doldrums of League One for ages, pining for sort of playing games like this and not Burton and Mansfield. So we've got to embrace it. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I haven't been there years and years ago. So, yeah, looking forward to it, mate. But yeah, I think I'll take a point, but I don't know if that's me being negative or me being realistic. I'll let everyone else decide that. But yeah, looking forward to it, mate.
I think negative. I mean, do you not remember the 138-point graph we saw last week? I mean, we can't be accepting a point in this situation. Seriously though, Joe, a point on the road they always say is a good return. I can't see Nathan Jones saying that to the boys in the build up to the game. That's never been the way that he operates, and that's why it will be such a fascinating contest on Saturday against the side who obviously will be filled with massive confidence after their result up at Bramwell Lane last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that as concerned as I think I maybe should be or could be about Bristol. If you look at their season so far, they've had 7 shots on target and they've scored 6 goals across all competitions. So their strike rate's pretty impressive. But we all know those things don't continue forever. And at some point, they're going to run out of luck and start to struggle. And I also think we're not going to go and play the type of game that Sheffield United played, enable them to sit in and hit us on the counter-attack. In fact, we're probably going to do a little bit the same. So it might just be 90 minutes of 2 teams at different ends of the pitch waving at each other and no football at all. But if that's what we need to do to get a point, then I'd be very happy with that. Ultimately, it's your home form that determines where you are. I think that going away, obviously you go for the win, but if you can nick points on a fairly regular basis, we can trust the guys to bring it home at the Valley. So, yeah, I don't think there'll be any complaints from anyone for a point away.
Stephen says United were very poor defensively on Saturday. I can't see us being so giving, and that's just not going to be us this season at all, is it, Nathan? Like, I think that is clearly going to be a strength of ours, is that we are going to be difficult to score against. I'm not sitting here saying we're going to keep 26 clean sheets again this year. I think that will be a bit pie in the sky, but we are going to make it difficult for teams to create chances and take chances against us.
Yeah, I think, and obviously it's still early in the season. We're in a second game in, so even like Sheffield United, I'm sure they'll improve on that. You've still got people getting up to fitness and whatnot, so I'm not going to read too much into it. But yeah, we're not going to come away from what we do and what we do well. We're not going to dominate many games possession-wise. We've got a structure in place that got us here, and there's no point trying to be too fluid now that we've got here. Is obviously doing what we do well. And as Joe say, the home form is going to be important, and the away form is if we can try and get some bits and pieces here and there. I mean, obviously we want to go and try and win every game, of course, but being realistic, just come up from League One, we're not going to sit there and dominate teams on their own patch. So, it's going to be an interesting game. And again, it's another test, but like I said at the beginning, it's playing these teams are the tests that we've always wanted. And from previous years, we've been having different tests, which have been mentally exhausting. But yeah, like we're here on merits. We haven't got nothing to fear by any stretch, but we're going to go out and try and get a result, and whatever that is. If it doesn't go our way, it's not the end of the world. I don't think anyone's going to get too hot up about it, but we're going there full of confidence. 2 wins, granted against lesser opposition in Stevenage, but you can only beat what's in front of you. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, Dean says Bristol City have sold out for the game. They're certainly right on the verge of doing so from what I heard earlier, if not having already done so now. So that will make for an excellent atmosphere. To be fair, I look back at the time we went to Bristol City last season when we were in the Championship back under Bow, and even though we lost, it was a sort of a difficult one to take because they had 10 men. It was last minute and that. But the atmosphere, like days like that game, was one of the best games of the season in terms of entertainment. Like we had loads of chances, they had loads of chances, red card, last minute goal, all sorts going on. The atmosphere just reminded me of why that division is so much better than going to even Bristol Rovers on a Tuesday night. It's just an unbelievable noise when that crowd gets going, and it should be really, really exciting. Dan says we shouldn't fear any teams. We'll have tough games, no doubt, but our defensive solid. And I agree with that. Gerhard Struber is the new manager. We'll hear a little bit more about him later on in the show when we get our Bristol City podcaster on. But I have interviewed Gerhard Struber once when he was Barnsley manager, and I was just made sure I got in his head. 5 years in advance. I was just like, yeah, we're coming. Charlton are coming, mate. Don't worry about that. Looking forward to that game. Yeah, and Dean says the 5th round of the FA Cup was a lively affair. I've heard many stories about this game. I think it was back in the sort of mid-90s where Charlton fans, we took loads down there and they got a warm reception from the locals by the sound of it. I'm sure it's not quite the same going down to Bristol City now as it was back in the mid-90s. But yeah, excited for a decent atmosphere and to see how the boys can get on. We will look ahead more to that game later on in the show as well. But we should focus a little bit on Tuesday evening's Carabao Cup win against Stevenage at the Valley. Let's have a quick listen back to the goals from Charlton TV. Greg Stubley and Terry Smith were your commentators.
For Charlton, looks towards Liebern. Liebern the control, and Liebern with the finish. Charlton front two, combining Lafay to Liebern. And it's Miles Liebern who gives Charlton the lead. Ryler goes on the outside of Freestone, right foot across in towards Liebern. It's beyond him. Fullah gets there, gets back to his feet. Fullah, brilliant goal from the Charlton youngster, who picked up the ball when he was on the ground, got back to his feet and had the composure to beat Ashby Hammond and get his first Charlton goal on his full debut.
On his right foot, crossed into the box. Berry with a header. Oh, that's a lovely goal. Super header into the corner. Ashby Hammond, no chance of getting there. It's nice football from Charlton. The cross from Cano, pinpoint. And Berry used all of his experience to get in front of his man and guide his header past the keeper.
That's why I said earlier, you can never rule Luke Berry out of your squad, because he does that better than anyone.
Paddington looks to take him on. Finds him, can't get to him, and the header coming in from Freestone. It's a goal back for Stevenage.
There we go. That's the goals from Tuesday evening's win against Stevenage in the Carabao Cup. Not the 0-0 that we became accustomed to when we played Stevenage at times in League One. It was actually a really entertaining game. Joe, 11 changes. I think if Nathan Jones could have made more than that, he would have done as well. It was a chance to give minutes to some people who hadn't had them yet, the likes of Liebern and Lafay starting. Youngsters getting minutes as well. Ibbi scoring was a massive plus for me. Obviously, Henry Ryler put the cross in for one of those for Ibbi's goal as well. And yeah, someone like Luke Berry coming off the bench and getting a chance and a goal was made for an entertaining evening in the end.
Yeah, it was a good evening. I think that Nathan Jones was a little bit annoyed with the second half performance, but in his press conference managed to almost hide that because he realised he can't come out and complain too much about a 3-1 win where we looked pretty comfortable. But first half, I thought we looked very, very impressive and much the better side, and was pretty disappointed to be going in only 2-0 up, really. I thought we should have put the game to bed. I thought the likes of Nibs really showed what they're going to bring. His pressing was strong all night. I thought JRC was really playing some intricate and incisive passes. And in that game, looks to me an improvement on what we had in the midfield on Saturday. And obviously Liebern getting some minutes and Alafe as well. It's all positive stuff, but it's nice to make 11 changes and still have a side that, other than the goal we let in, looked defensively pretty solid, despite quite a lot of pressure actually in the back end of the second half from Stevenage. So I think you look at that as it's a job done, tick the box. It's essentially another pre-season friendly style game for the B squad. And you're moving into the next round and you've got, another B team that you can play against a lesser opposition. So, I mean, overall, I don't think that Nathan Jones is going to have too many complaints other than we just took our foot off the gas in the second half and sort of cruised to victory when we could have really taken the fight to them a little bit more. Yeah,
Cambridge away in the second round. I think it's going to fall on my birthday, that game. So that's a lovely way to spend it up at the Abbey Stadium. But the performance of the youngsters we'll talk about in a minute. But one thing that stood out to me immediately from the off was like, wow, Miles Liebern is bang up for this performance tonight, Nathan. Like, he's running, he's finished for the goal, was excellent, but he looked bang up for it from minute one. Maybe fitness has caught up with him again. He's feeling good. He's looking good. He's got a new contract with the club. And it was nice to see him get off the mark for the campaign.
Yeah, I think there's been no doubt, obviously, of Miles's ability. I think at the beginning of the season, we said, if we get Miles fit and raring to go, it is more or less like a new signing. And obviously, in addition to that, you've got, Tanto coming in and Kelman coming in, and all of a sudden, he's looking around going, right, I'm going to have to, not that he wasn't, pulling his weight or anything at all, not saying that at all, but he's got competition for places now, which we need. So opportunities that you get in the cup, albeit be it against Stevenage or Cambridge, they're games where you've got a chance to shine in front of Nathan and go, right, I'm ready to play now. Kelman's still, getting his fitness. Nibs is still getting his fitness. So it's a chance for him now. And I think the performance on Tuesday was very, very good from Miles and Tanto, to be fair. Apart from that chance from Tanto, I thought they both looked very, very sharp. The aggression, there was a little bit of a, as your father with, can't remember the centre half name. It was the one who scored, wasn't it? With Miles sort of squaring up to him and stuff. Yeah, squaring up to him and stuff. And it's like, he's got his aggression, he's got his hunger back. He's through the woods on the injuries. And I thought we played really, really well. And there were a good few couple and, played well in that game. And it gives Nathan something to think about, especially with Saturday. And as I say, with Kelman still getting his fitness and stuff. So kind of done his performance, didn't do him any harm, put it that way.
Yeah, I think you and me have two very different definitions of the phrase "How's your father?" But we'll leave.
I'm sorry about that. I wanted to. I didn't know what I was looking for, but the context, right?
We're going to have to issue an apology to Miles Lieburn and Lewis Freestone for the accusation there of what Nathan accused them in public on a pitch. I mean, it's happened on the pitch before, hasn't it? Katrine's back and sorting out the advertising for season tickets again, or pitch hire. Spam says the contrast between the cup loss under Appleton when he called out half the team night and day. Jones's influence is in every aspect of the club at the moment. Yeah, I mean, Nathan mentioned Tanto as well. Very early days yet from Tanto, but I think we're sort of seeing what we were told to expect from the Stockport people. Like, he's bustling, he looks strong, he looks really good on the ball, he looks like a hard worker, just a little bit, and a little bit of quality as well. And that ball through to Lieburn was perfectly measured. That was really good. And maybe just didn't quite take his chance when it came, but that I expect him to grow into that as the season comes on. And I've actually been quite impressed with what I've seen from him so far, knowing what to expect after being told this by the Stockport people. I think actually we've got someone there who looks really lively, looks like a real nuisance.
Yeah, and I don't think you necessarily need Tanto to finish every chance he gets. If he's creating a nuisance and creating opportunities for the likes of Kelman and Godden, who we know can tuck it away when they're invited, and Lieburn too, then having that nuisance factor is kind of what you need. And we had that really with Chucks over the last couple of seasons because his goal scoring dried up. But to have a nuisance that's fit all season long is going to be a real benefit. I think for the pass for Lieburn, that's one of those examples where you say he made his mind up for him with the pass. He told Lieburn where he needed to go. All he had to do was get his foot on it, right into his path, and then tuck it away into the net. And those types of passes show that there is some quality in there and some very good decision making. And when he gets his confidence up and a run of games, because he's not had a real run of games at this point for us, I expect the types of finishing and executing those chances to come on sort of in leaps and bounds. But yeah, I'm a big fan. Like TC last season, he didn't take every chance he had, but he created a lot of chaos. And you need those types of players in the side to unlock those defences, especially at championship level. And I think that where he is a massive step up from TC, although TC has bulked up considerably, is that he is just a much bigger unit, and we look like a much bigger, more physical side with him in it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Mark agrees that Miles looks sharp, definitely has that hunger back, looks fitter too. I think he'll have a big season for us. I mean, he looked great when he came on against Watford as well, actually, Miles Lieburn. I'm not one of those who has any doubts that he's going to do well in the Championship. I really think he's going to do well for us this season. As Stephen says, we need those bench players to really be pushing for the first 11. This is nice from Kieran, Bristol City fan, said, hope we have a safe journey down to Bristol and good luck. Should hopefully be a good game to watch. Very kind of you, Kieran, for your welcome. The third goal, Berry, I thought it was an excellent header. Had no right really to win that header across the defender. Good cross from Canoe as well. I mean, we'll talk about some of the other players who came on it again. Maybe Charlie Kelman had a few minutes, sort of the second half came on. Still getting up to speed, I'd suggest maybe, Nathan. No pre-season, and we need to give him a little bit of space to breathe in that regard.
Yeah, naturally, obviously, when you spend the sort of money on a striker and the performance he had last year, obviously, naturally, you're going to think it's going to hit the ground running. But yeah, it probably need a bit of time to get him up to speed. And in fairness, really, I mean, it wasn't like he had a huge amount of service on Saturday and when he came on. So, and then when he came on, we were under a bit of pressure on Tuesday, so we had to do a lot of hustling and harrying. So, yeah, but I'm not worried about it. That's why we've got a squad. Be interesting if Nathan starts him again on Saturday, because you've got to probably try and juggle now and get minutes into him. But at the same time, you've got someone like, Miles who's had a good one, and obviously Tanto affected the game on Saturday as well, where the penalty or whatnot, which I think led to the corner. But it's going to be interesting what Nathan does. But again, it's a long season with game 2, so we just got to be patient. And there's going to be like Nibs as well, ranking Stello. There's a lot of people still building their fitness up, and that's not just us; that's everyone across the board. No footballer is going to be at their sharpest after 2 weeks of the season. So loads of time. And it's just about getting Kelman in the right areas so he can do what he can do best.
Yeah, Jake says, considering it was a full 11 change, take into account the youth and the new signings, which were all League One, apart from a JRC. The gulf in class between us and Stevenage was so far apart. We were so much better. And Paul says, yeah, Jake, we definitely weren't on a par with them. If you look back we played Stevenage away not just under 12 months ago. So I think it was about September last season. We lost 1-0 away at their game. It was a really tight game. There wasn't a great deal in it. They won 1-0. I think it was a goal on the counter, if I remember correctly. But fast forward, not even a year, and you look at the difference. I mean, we had a clear level of championship class above them, Joe, and that just again serves to highlight the difference we've made this season. That we had 11 changes. I think off the top of my head, they made 5. It's really impressive. Spamfish on Kelman says he's missed one half chance. He's not exactly Bradley Allen. I can't remember a great deal of Bradders as a player, so I'm not going to comment on that. But Joe, yeah, Kelman, as Paul says, he'll be okay. He needs the service. As Steve says, surprised he didn't start on Tuesday. Would have been an ideal opportunity to get some minutes and maybe have the first goal, which he needs. But I guess there are other players who also need minutes. You've got to find that right balance.
Yeah, I mean, it's a squad game, especially this season with, the fact that you're allowed almost as many players on the bench as you are allowed in the stadium. There's going to be lots of options. You're going to need people that are ready to go and fight and fit on that bench. So managing the minutes around is important. If he hasn't the preseason, the last thing we want to do is to run him into the ground, him break down, an injury, and then you're even further away from where you are now. I would have started him personally and probably done 45 the way they did with Nibs, but that's just because I really want him to have an opportunity to get going in a Charlton shirt. But you look at the squad as a whole, and I think you're right. The move on that we've made over the summer is unreal. Really, we always had a really strong defensive unit that were pretty cohesive and had some options. And I made a comment last season that if our squad depth was measured in water, you wouldn't get your toenails wet. So you really were on some significantly shallow footing there. But all over the pitch, you're looking at options to bring on, I think maybe other than right wing back. And so you're going to need to give these players minutes, and these players are going to be frustrated if they're not playing. So for Jones and for the camp, it's going to be a case of rotating people and moving in, and the physical demands of the championship, when to win games we are going to have to work harder than some of these really good quality teams in the division, means that you're going to need to utilise that bench a lot more than you would have done previously. So yeah, overall, great to have those opportunities to get the minutes, and what we don't have now is thank God, is the Check Your Bristol's pizza trophy to run all the kids out in. So a nice run in the Carabao Cup, picking up these sort of lesser inferior tin pot teams is the absolute right replacement for that.
Yeah, as well. If you're not going to get West Ham away, then you want someone League Two, so you can stick some minutes in the legs. Mark says, I think Kelman may be the victim of how we play under Jones, getting it to the wings and crossing will suit Leeburn a lot more. We will get there. I'm confident with Kelman. He'll be fine. Finchy says that Bradley Allen was underwhelming. That's not for me to say. Dicky was halfway through typing a comment, then just got excited and just pressed enter. So he just says I'd play. So Dicky's putting himself forward for the front line on Saturday if we need to be. Right, let's have a listen to what Nathan Jones made of the cup win during the week. Had a quick chat with the Addicts boss after the game. Through to the next round of the Carabao Cup. How did you see it this evening?
Look, I'm happy with the win. I'm happy with the fact that a lot of people got minutes, and then we were able to have a look at some young lads in the first team. So it was a good night all round. If I'm picking holes in stuff, I would have liked us to keep a clean sheet. I would like us to be a bit more clinical just for half time, and I would have liked us to be a bit more fluent. But when you put the side together, because that side hasn't played together much, then you win the game against a tough team to play against in Stevenage, then look, you got to be happy.
Some of those young players in particular, as you mentioned, standing out. Obviously, Ibbi, with his goal, we just spoke to him. He seemed very pleased with himself for getting that goal.
Well, he should be. It's a fairy tale for him, to think for him to do that, and he's closer than people think. He's a wonderful footballer, and he's just got to keep his feet on the ground, keep working hard, and that won't be the last time you'll see him, or the last time I have any doubt that he will score. As you saw at the end of the season against Burton, I think he hit the bar of the post and had another shot and was energetic, and he's one of those players. And he's not a wing back, he's an attacking midfield player, but he done a job there tonight because we trust him. So we're really pleased with him, and I'm delighted for a few of the young ones that played tonight.
Do you think those youngsters have shown that they could play a part in the Championship squad this season?
Look, that'll be difficult, because Championship's another level, in terms of stuff, and we've gone up a level. So for them to keep pace with us and the Championship, then their level has to go up. But there are a few in there that will impact on us. Ibbi's one of those. I really like Alan Mwamba because of his athleticism and what he does, and these are the academy products that we have to push. And as you said, it was a great night for them tonight, because they got in there, they got minutes, and they got to see what it's about. Because Stevenage are always a tough side to play against, so it was a test for every one of them tonight.
Likes of Miles and Tanto as well, showing you've got some real depth up top this season.
Yeah, I thought Miles was excellent. Tanto, is finding rhythm in terms of great ball. I mean, he could have scored, and he could have slid Henry Ryler in first half, but the ball from Miles was class, and then Miles' finish was excellent. I was really pleased with Miles. I thought he won his head. I thought he looked back to the levels that we want him at. And yeah, of course we've got Gordon to come in. We've obviously got TC, DK is there, and things. So we've got good depth in those areas, and we've needed that tonight. And as you said, when we've asked him to do something different tonight as well, DK supplies one for Bez, and so look, we've won the game with no injuries, and that's the really important thing.
There we go, Nathan Jones after the win against Stevenage in midweek. One of the things that people have pointed out after that win is obviously some of the people who weren't in there. Sam in particular saying feel sorry for Gas and Bick, and he says Canoe feels like he might need a loan. Well, so I think Nathan's been pretty consistent by saying that one of Canoe and Bick will go out on loan, and it's no secret that Jacko wants him down at Don. So I think at some point the Canoe I think at some point that will happen, maybe when we get everyone back. Who knows? Gas. Well, it's been reported today with old Nixo that he's going to go to Stevenage. So they obviously saw Stevenage struggling to create many chances against us on Tuesday night, and they're like, "Oh, there's someone here actually who could help us out," and they might get the gas man. So that would be interesting to see if he goes down there. I did speak about the young players as well there, Nath. Fullah, who we're going to hear from shortly, but we all said in the build-up, really hope we get to see Ibbi Fullah have a game, and we were treated to it. I thought Henry Ryder did well in the first half. He was busy. Mwamba was mentioned as well there in that second half. But Fullah, it feels like he's the one we've all christened as the next big thing, isn't it? It's quite exciting and great to see him get his first goal.
Yeah, and as Nathan said, as long as he keeps his feet on the ground, and doesn't get too big for his boots, which I'm sure he won't, then I think he's got a very, very bright future. Obviously, only seen him a handful of times, so we're not going to sit there and say he's going to be the next big thing, but he's promising. I think the Burton game, considering, he came on and had real energy, as Nathan just said. The friendly I see against all the friendlies that I see over the pre-season looked very bright, and obviously done a job at left wing back. And it weren't just his goal. If there were moments he was defending the box, defending wide. He got some interceptions, got some clearances, and and he's willing to do the ugly stuff, which you're going to have to need to do in a Nathan Jones side. So it all bodes well. But yeah, we just got to be patient with him, and he might be dipped in and out. Because I think it's like when Miles came on the scene, he's a different sort of species, really. The geezer's an absolute unit. So, yeah, we'll be patient with him. But from what we've seen, I think everyone is really excited, and rightly so. It's another one off the production line, but we just got to take it easy and just enjoy him when he's playing. But yeah, it's just full of promise.
Yeah, as Nathan says there, let's keep our feet on the ground with Ibbi Fullah. Let's not get carried away. Daniel says Fullah will win the Ballon d'Or one day. Mark my words. Looking forward to seeing that happen as well. Hopefully within the next 6 months, I reckon. No pressure, Ibbi. Well, I did speak to Ibbi on Tuesday, and an absolute pleasure to have a quick word with the goal scorer from the cup game against Stevenage. Congratulations. We have to talk about your goal first of all. How did that feel?
Yeah, it was just good. So many emotions was going through my head. Obviously, as soon as the ball went to the back of the net, I didn't even know what to do. Just so many things was going through my head, but obviously very happy with the goal.
I remember you came close when you came off on the bench last season. So to get that so early in your career must be so pleasing.
Yeah, very good. Obviously, a lot of my teammates before the game were saying, make sure you grab a goal. So obviously, I had to do my part, and yeah, obviously got the goal in the end, which I'm very happy about.
How did you feel ahead of today, knowing you'd be starting a first team game for the first time?
Yeah, a lot of things was going through my head. Obviously, it's a challenge, and you have to overcome it. So as soon as obviously a position that obviously I've been learning to play as well, once that happens, you just gotta take the opportunity and play as well as you can. Just embrace the pressure.
So many of the academy boys involved today as well. Does that make it easier going out there playing with boys that you played with before?
100%. It's just a great feeling as well, being around players I've played with for such a long time. So I'm really happy with that as well. Everyone played well. So yeah, really happy.
Yeah, what did you make of the game as a whole? Obviously a 3-1 win and through to the next round of the League Cup.
Yeah, everyone put in their part. Everyone played solid in my opinion, from defence to attack. And I'm just really happy with everyone, from the gaffer to the teammates, people on the bench. So really happy with everyone's part in the play today.
What's your sort of targets for this season? A lot of Charlton fans notice you a lot in pre-season. Are you thinking you've got a real chance of sort of being in and around the first team this year?
I just have to keep carrying on, and whatever the gaffer has to do is up to him at the end of the day. So I'm just going to keep carrying on and just take my challenge, take the opportunity when it comes.
Obviously, the manager puts his belief in the young players quite a lot, and he's giving you that backing. How important has he been so far?
Yeah, it's really good. Obviously, after training, each training session will just tell me just to enjoy myself, play how I normally play. I think that helps a lot when I go into the pitch, and even my teammates as well just telling me just play how you normally play and embrace the pressure. And I feel like that's what happened today, and just in games in the past as well.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders, such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the river. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live. This is the big match preview. Time to turn our attention back to Saturday's trip down to ASHTON Gate. Delighted to say that we're now joined by David from the Forever Bristol City podcast. There he is, bottom right of the screen. David,
hi guys.
Thank you for joining us. How are you doing this fine evening?
Yeah, pretty good. It's been another warm one. Yes, I've just come back from a clarinet lesson. Can you believe that?
Well, blimey. I mean, some people prepare for this show in many different ways, but that's the first clarinet lesson we've had before coming on. Is that? I assume you're learning to play "We Are the Champion" on the clarinet after the way you've started the season.
Well, the way we've done so far, I will do "When the Red Red Robin Goes Bob Bob Bobbing Along." When we have something to be pleased about. Let's put it like that, yeah? But so far, so good.
We're a big fan of that song on this show, so I'm glad you're going to do that. Yeah. Tell us about your start to the season, though. So it's been an interesting one as well, because obviously after reaching the playoff semi-finals last year, there was a change in manager with Liam Manning moving on. But you've brought in Gerhard Struber, someone who haunted Charlton last time we were in the Championship, actually, because his Barnsley side stayed up at our expense on the last day of the season. But I mean, you've started so well. Was that what you were expecting at the start of this season?
We certainly weren't expecting to start as well as we did, because we started where we left off at Sheffield United. We got we got drubbed up there over the two legs in the playoffs. And in all honesty, it was a great achievement getting to the playoffs for the first time in 17 seasons. But the football wasn't great. Yes, we had a good run in the period between Christmas and Easter, but then leading up to the two Sheffield games, we went off. So nobody was really gutted when Liam Manning decided to go to high-spending Norwich. And I think with Gerhard Struber coming on board, it has united the fan base, because a faction of the fan base felt that Nigel Pearson was unfairly gotten rid of by the hierarchy in the autumn of 2023. So Liam Manning was up against it. He didn't promote youth. There's an urban myth that he brings on young players. And, Struber has endeared himself to the Bristol public already. He's been seen at the Balloon Fiesta down by the harbour side, working on a coffee cart. He's really got something about him. And the style of football, didn't see the first two friendlies. I saw them online, but we beat Plymouth and then we beat Real Valladolid, probably not the right pronunciation there, in a friendly. And it was different. It was front foot, chaos, pushing men forward. And it continued up at Bramall Lane on Saturday. Unbelievable, fully deserved. And maybe a good time to play them, because Ruben Selles, it was his first game in charge, and maybe his methods haven't got through. But as things stand right now, we're in the next round of the Cup. We're top of the league for a week. Let's see what we do against you guys. First time we played you in 5.5 years, I think. Well, it is.
Hi, David.
Hi, Nathan.
Hello, mate. So, yeah, obviously a few years sort of in that sort of middling in the pack of the Championship, and then obviously last season. What's the, without putting too much pressure on yourselves, what are the expectations of sort of Bristol City fans? Are you trying to go into the playoffs again, or are you, well, that was a one-off? How are you thinking it?
Interesting. Look, if you want to be a negative, again, there's two schools of thought in this. 68 points is typical Bristol City territory. In a normal season, it usually gets you between 7th and 11th in the table. Now, because the top four last season took so many points off everybody else, we snuck in there. We should have finished 5th. We should have beaten Preston on the last day, but we got there with 68 points. So Struber could get 74 points and still not get to the playoffs. But the expectations this season are playoffs, yeah? And, if we can improve our away form, we only won 2 away games in the last 6 months of the season, yeah, which was appalling. So if we can improve our away form overall and even out the wins, across the whole season, then we should be in the playoffs. And, we've actually got a good squad. I feel quite buoyant, and I'm usually a cup half empty type of guy.
Hi, David. Just looking at your sort of stats really from the last couple of games, it seems that you're really overperforming in terms of opportunities that you've created. You've had 7 shots on target and 6 goals so far. Is that luck? Is that judgment? Is that just the way that Struber's got you playing?
I think it's the way he's got us playing. There's a definite playing style. And you're absolutely right. If you saw the game up at Sheffield, it finished 4-1 to us. But if it had been 5-4 to us, that would have been a fair reflection. We got a goalkeeper on loan from Man United, Rajak Vitek. I mean, he did 2 or 3 stupendous saves at the weekend. But equally, when we were 4-1 up, we had chances. If we'd have scored another 2, they were wasted chances. We might have got more than the 4. So we're doing well. We've conceded just the 1 goal in the 2 competitive games this season. But I think he's got the players believing in his style. If we'd have come away from Sheffield with a point last weekend, that would have been a great success based on what happened in the playoffs. We came in, we've exceeded expectations. And, realistically, if we're going to do anything this season, playing you guys at ASHTON Gate at the weekend, that's a game that we've ought to win. We ought to be looking to win that. But then you yourselves got off to that great start with the win against Watford, and you're in the next round of the Cup as well.
That was going to be my final question, actually. Then, David, is to how sides outside of SE7 see Charlton at the moment. I don't really know what people make of us. I think we're sort of back on the map now because our manager's quite exciting, and the man that people love to hate. I don't know if Bristol City have got any history with Nathan Jones, but every other club in the 92 seems to. So you might be able to tell me something. But when you look at us, are you looking at us as a newly promoted side, or are you saying, well, this is a team that doesn't concede a lot of goals? This is a team that started quite well. What are you expecting from us?
I look at you as a newly promoted side, but probably, and if you look at the three that came up, along with Birmingham and Wrexham and yourselves, then on paper you're the weaker of the side because of their financial support. But I also look at Charlton and think that in the days of Kirbishley and was it Steve Gritt, you've had a few years in the Premier League as well, yeah. So you've tumbled down, but I think you're a decent club. I've been to the Valley a few times over the years. It's a good club, good atmosphere down there. And as I say, I wouldn't see you guys being in danger of going down like some other clubs are in the Championship.
Lovely stuff, David. Well, that's music to my ears. You can get your clarinet back out now. But thanks for your time this evening. Really enjoyed having you on the show. Hopefully we get to speak again later on in the season.
Right. My pleasure, guys. All the best. Cheers.
There we go. That's David from the Forever Bristol City podcast. He was an excellent guest there, giving us the background on Gerhard Struber's side ahead of our trip to ASHTON Gate on Saturday. Let's have a quick listen to Nathan Jones previewing the game. It's a very quick couple of quotes here from Nathan, but just to look ahead to Saturday's trip down to Bristol City.
Absolutely, and they've had a wonderful start. They've won 2 games themselves, beat Sheffield United 4-1 away from home, missed a glorious chance to make it 5 as well. So look, they're a side that's got excellent quality, that's got some, they've been in the Championship a while now, almost got out of it last year, obviously lost in the playoffs. So a team that's with fantastic pedigree, quality all over the pitch, and we'll be saying that week in, week out.
There we go. Nathan never gives a great deal away when he previews the game, but very complimentary, of course, about Bristol City and the way they've started the game or the season, I should say. Nathan Muller, what can we go there and expect then? What is realistic for us this season going to an away game like this? We're not going to win every game. That's the difference now. We're not going to Bristol Rovers. We've stepped up and we're going to Bristol City. I mean, we lost at Bristol Rovers last season, but we'll put that behind us. But this is a more difficult game than what we've been used to on the road. So I don't really know how we attack these games as supporters in terms of our expectations now.
Yeah, I mean, well, even last year, I wouldn't say our away form was fantastic last year at all. But so I think, expectations is just sort of going back on what I said earlier. Is just first and foremost, you've got to be defensively solid, good without the ball, structured, which I think we will be. We're not going to be going to teams and dictating plays like a lot of the teams in this division will. So, we gave up a bit of possession against Watford at home, and we still come away. So, I think we'll go into the game and in a strange kind of way. It's like it's not like every away game's a free hit. I'm not going to that extreme, but It's nice. What am I looking for? It's nice not being the favourite to win. Do you know what I mean? So when we're going to Burton and Mansfield, no matter how dreadful we are in terms of a squad, you're still there as a big club in League One. Not saying that we didn't deserve to be there, because we did. But now we're coming up here, we're sort of everyone's shouting about the Birminghams and the Wrexham, which I'm glad for that to happen. I'm so glad that's happened, because then we can just go about our business under the radar. And if we get a couple of wins here and there, happy days, because we're not expecting to win every game. I don't think any fan is. But I just think being defensively solid, mate, and we'll get some results away. We'll probably win a handful away. But again, as we all said earlier, it's about our home form. But it's just nice to go some nice grounds, some nice big grounds. So not going having to go to Burton. I feel bad for Burton. They've never done anything to offend me, but I always seem to slag them off. But
they just exist. Let's hope that none of the 4 Burton Albion fans out there actually watch our pod. But luckily, there's so few of them. Statistically, it's highly unlikely that they do. Luke says we don't dominate the ball at home, so we'll see even less of it away. But Paul said, this is why I asked David a question. Like, we're being underestimated a lot, and David said something that I think is very, very fair, which is if I'm a Bristol City fan, I'm saying, right, Charlton to come in. I would expect 3 points. They ain't watched us every week. They don't know what we're about. They just see Charlton, which we cling on to the fact we was in the Prem nearly 20 years ago, if you're feeling old there, Nath. But we cling on to the fact that we're a big boy, and we are in League One. But when we go up to the Championship, people don't look at us that way, and we are underestimated, as Paul says, which weirdly I think will play into our hands, because Nathan Jones loves being underestimated. He loves it. He loves the world against him. And I think I sort of made a conscious decision on Saturday evening, Sunday morning, that everyone's hating Nathan Jones. Everyone's turning Charlton into a little bit of a pantomime because of Nathan. I was like, let's play up to it. I put out a clip on the Sunday from Sunday's show, which I would never normally do, just of Nathan having conversation about the Watford fans. Let's become the pantomime villain. Let's become the ones that are going to annoy everyone. Let's be Charlton like that. Let's be plucky little Charlton whatever. Let's be annoying Charlton and go there and get some results.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power in that, and you're right. If there's one man that is made for that role, it is Nathan Jones. I've never seen a man who has managed to upset as many people that he's never ever come across. It's remarkable. But I think that teams coming up against us are going to be expecting us to be, maybe a bit difficult to break down, and maybe we'll be a bit robust. But I think they'll be surprised by some of the quality that we've got in the sides, and we are going to be blown away occasionally, and there are going to be those games where we get a bit of a thumping. But there are going to be so many games, I think, where teams come away just absolutely frustrated with the fact that they've had to spend 90 minutes banging on our door and getting absolutely nothing in return. And if we play that pantomime villain role, and if we're the team that everybody hates to play, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's like, oh God, we got Charlton this week. Oh, how are we going to hope we beat this lot? And it sort of plays on everyone's mind in a weird way. And you come back to the characters like Paul Dickov is one that always springs to mind. You only ever liked him if he played for you, even if he was your best mate and your hero. The minute that he went to another club, he was the worst person to ever exist. And if we can be the Championship's Paul Dickov with Nathan Jones, I'm all for it. And I tell you what was all the more fun is I've watched so many Watford podcasts this week, and they've got so many different ones. And all of them have been trying to justify how they deserved anything out of Saturday. And I've just been drinking the tears. So all season, I'm going to be fully nourished on Championship tears. I can cope with that.
There was a video that a Watford fan put out after Saturday's game, and he sort of titled it, "Look at all these chances we had." And I watched the video, and there was the penalty shout in it, which, all right, is probably a penalty, but we should have had one ourselves. All the rest of their so-called chances were when they got the ball near the penalty area and then didn't get into the... Like, it was outrageous. Like, people are going to hate losing to us this season because we are going to be plucky. We're going to be upstarts. We're going to be mouthy. We're going to be that annoying club this year because that's what Nathan is. He doesn't even mean to do it, but that's what he is. And I think, look at Orient away last season when we won, and our players were giving it all that to the Orient fans. Like when TC fell over backwards, falling over Ramsey. Like, let's make a proper nuisance of ourselves this season, and then we like. I really think that could sort of be our persona this year because we're a slightly smaller club than some of the other ones in the Championship because of where we've been over the last 10 years. We've been nowhere for 10 years. We're back now. Let's make some noise. I need to swore there. I'm getting too up about this, but I'm excited about us. I'm excited about the fact we're back. Luke says we haven't earned the right to be feared yet. A lot of our signings have been from League One, so other Championship teams think nothing of it. They'll soon learn, though. Mark says they may underestimate us, but the reality is we're fifth in the Championship for gross spend this summer. As Gary said, and as Nathan said, everyone's looking at Birmingham, everyone's looking at Wrexham, everyone's looking at these other clubs. Fine. Let's do what we're doing. So we've got 100% records so far, and we're going to go down to Bristol City on Saturday, and we're going to make our mark. I think even if we don't win the game, and if we lose the game, we ain't going to roll over, and that's not what we've been about for a long time. Finchy says the formula to win is in the club's history. We S-house our way at 90 minutes, nick against the run of play winner, see QPR and see Bournemouth a decade ago. It's in our DNA. Finchy says. Right, let's talk team news from our point of view. Did we start with the same 11 that started against Watford, Nath? So that you sort of hinted, one of you sort of hinted at it earlier about Kelman. Can you drop him? Because you can't say he needs minutes and then go, but well, you can't have him because Miles is looking smart. But at the same time, if you're Nathan, you've got to win on Saturday. So do you play the player who seems to be ready or the one who's still catching up without pre-season? That's probably the first big decision.
Yeah, catch-22 really, isn't it? I think, like as you say, Kelman, he needs minutes, but then, I know Miles played well and Tanto played well, but I don't think you're going to go into this game after winning and change, make 4-4-4-5 changes. It wouldn't surprise me if he names the same. It wouldn't surprise me. TC maybe, but again, Tanto. I think Carey starts regardless. I think Coventry starts. I think the back three start the same. Wing backs start the same. So I think you really ones I'm thinking that you could probably is Kelman, TC, and Doc. Maybe everything else I think stays as it is. But I'd personally leave it as it is. But again, who knows? But we're going to have subs, but that's what they call finishers. Like Nib's come on, done so well. Tanto affected the game brilliantly. Lieburn affected the game. Like all of them came on and affected the game. So it's hard, really. It's a long season. So like Joe said earlier, it's all right. Do we put if we keep playing Kelman and we start him on Saturday, what happens if he breaks down? So it could be an opportunity where Nathan goes, right, Lieburn had a good one. We'll get 60, 70 minutes out of him, but he was blowing sort of out towards the end on Tuesday. So is he going to be able to do Tuesday, Saturday, starting the game? So don't know. It's interesting, but it wouldn't surprise me if he keeps the same 11, in my opinion.
Yeah, when Stephen says he'll start the same 11, he said Doc was the weak link, but was slow to get going last season, so has to stay, but he has got to do more. Rustos says that he doesn't want to see TC and Kelman start together. He wants to see Kelman with Lieburn, Tanto off the bench. TC would be the best option to scare defences late on. He says maybe one other change, Doc for JRC. I mean, there are changes that could be made, and I think actually Tuesday did ask some questions, which is exactly what we wanted from it, Joe, in terms of those players who might flit around. You know, Doc, like we said, Doc didn't have his best game in possession of the ball, in particular in the first half on Saturday, but there are other bits to his game that I did notice, like important challenges here and there involved in the goals. So are you making changes? Are you keeping it the same? Is someone, even if you hadn't seen, like if after Saturday, was there something on Tuesday that you think, well, to be honest, I wouldn't have changed it after Saturday, but after Tuesday, there's someone who I think has to start now?
JRC is the only one, but then he was absolutely blowing at the end of that game. I don't see how he's going to be ready to go again on Saturday. He looks like he needs a few days rest and probably is for the bench. I just think that his quality on the ball is night and day compared to what we got from Doc on Saturday. Although the questions off the ball do definitely need to be asked. I think for us, there's two schools of thought, right? Do you change your winning team? Do you let them go out? You know, it's not like we beat Watford 5-0. We did beat them fairly comfortably in terms of the flow of the game, but it was a 1-0 last-minute winner. But for me, it's what the threats that Bristol City pose. I mean, if we feel that having Tanto as his physicality to help relieve some pressure and get us up the pitch from the start, and then you play him and Kelman, and then you can switch it round with Lieburn and TC, then I'd describe that as some thinking. But you're looking at it, and I don't think anyone's done enough to be dropped, and I don't think anyone's done enough to warrant being in over anybody else just at this stage. It's only 2 games, so at the minute I would stick with a winning formula, unless there is a real glaring tactical reason that, you know, maybe you put a Lappe in for TC just because of that physicality.
Yeah, and what we don't know is how Josh Edwards is. Obviously came off, I think, sort of midway through the second half against Watford. Hopefully he'll be fine, because I mean he was absolutely outstanding last weekend. Good old Josh. I'm really enjoying watching him for the Addicts. Luke says it's very rare to see Jones change a winning team. I'd be surprised if there's any changes. Spamfish saying that Doc plays like a little Keith Jones, but with more technique, and he says that is an uncool skill set. Liam says I would personally start Nibs over TC, but I wouldn't be mad if TC started. I mean, as Alan said, nice to have the options. Like, again, how many times did we have conversations like this last season? I was like, well, I imagine the starting 11 will be the good one. You know, that's it. Like, the amount of times we didn't have to make changes last season because they were doing so well. This is great. You know, we're in a great position at the moment. Joseph said I can't see him changing the team from Saturday, but he is not predictable, so who knows? Mark reckons he won't change as well. Right, one thing that has changed during the week is the fact that James Brain has left the club. The set piece and first team coach has made his way up to Sunderland. Massive congratulations to James for getting that gig. But it means that Danny Hilton now will be promoted into that role. He's obviously been in and around the coaching setup since coming as a player last season, retired as a player to focus fully on the coaching this year. I asked Nathan during the week what we can expect from Danny Hilton.
Danny was a good coach. Danny's been excellent. He really is. And bear in mind, look, I know that any scepticism over it. James Brain came to us as an individual development coach from Birmingham, no first team experience whatsoever, and came. I saw something in him and promoted him, which was a gamble, you know, in terms of everything. And then he stepped up, did fantastically well, and was a big part of our coaching philosophy, a big part of what we did. But we had to educate him because he had no experience in what he did. Dan's in a similar place. I've done that all throughout my career. You know, I've promoted people like Joaquin Gomez, who's now a manager, managed in about 6 countries. I promoted Alan Sheehan, who was my set play coach, who's now manager of a championship side. So any scepticism around that, then look at the track record of staff that I've worked with and that have gone on to do things. So we do something right with staff, and Danny will be the next one.
There we go. So Nathan are very firm in his beliefs about what Danny Hilton is going to bring to Charlton as a coach. You know, he said, I mean, it's quite clear that when he came in, Nathan, even as a player last year, it was partly player, partly because he's got to do that coaching role. You know, Nathan described how good he is around the building with the other strikers. You know, remember when he was sort of saying that he can teach them the tomfoolery of the way he, you know, sees games out, or kicks that 18-year-old goalkeeper in the EFL trophy was quite fun as well. But the little touch he had against, I think it was Chelsea. So, I mean, he seems like a good character. Don't know a great deal about him, but yeah, Nathan very pleased with how he is able to bring staff on, and says that Danny will be the next one. And I do think, I know not everyone who's been through the coaching setup so far is someone that Nathan knows. He brings lots of people in, or people have already been there, but having someone that Nathan knows is probably helpful as well. I think Nathan would like that.
Yeah, and I think you had that the sort of running theme of, you know, we only get people from Luton and stuff like that. But in all seriousness, having someone who, not even players, but, you know, Danny Hilton played under Nathan Jones, so he knows what Nathan wants, what he's looking for, how he plays, and having that as a player is great, because then the senior pros can then manage to dress them and drive the standards. But then if you're then evolving into a coach, which Danny has, you've got the best of both worlds. So you've then got a senior pros then coaching, knows how and Nathan wants to play. So it's just, again, all coming back to a collective and all pulling in the same direction. And, you know, I've said on Twitter the other day that since James Brain came in, that the set pieces have improved. There's no denying that whatsoever. But, you know, things happen, people move on, wish him well. And obviously now it's down to the hitman Hilton to put his own stamp on things, shall we say. So, yeah, really happy for him, and long way to continue.
Yeah, and as I said, as we found out earlier on this afternoon as well, Will Abbott leaving. I don't think they've said where he's going yet, so I'm not sure where he's going, but it sounds like he's been offered an opportunity. I mean, miracle worker. There was an actual stage last season where we had no injuries for about a month. I remember sort of joking. I was saying hello to Will at games. I sort of joked to him, saying, "Oh, you must be putting your feet up at the moment." Obviously, there was other work going on behind the scenes, but it feels like he's been an important part of where we got to last season. We had what felt like quite high player availability last year, Joe. Stephen's asking, a bit concerning, all the changes in the background, any murmurs of disharmony, or just people moving on to pastures new? I suspect it's the second part of that, very much so. There's not really hearing any murmurs of anything like that. And, you know, James has gone up to the Premier League. I suspect Will might be going to a bigger club as well, or, you know, maybe into a different world completely. But I'm not too concerned about it. To me, it just shows that we've had two people in the building who've done a good job and therefore got better jobs out of it.
Yeah, that's where I am. Ultimately, when you're successful, people are going to come and poach people from the club. And if they take Will Abbott and James Brain and they leave Kane Ramsey behind, 100%, I'm happy with that, because I know which one's going to make the biggest difference to us on the Saturday. But you can't get away from 2-3 seasons ago. Our injury record was atrocious. In a number of times we'd have more players out injured than we'd have available. It's just madness. I do think it's nice for Will to move on and get a new challenge. You know, for himself, ultimately dropped down from Brighton to come to us and take on this role and invest in the club and the journey. And what we have seen from the owners is that they will invest in the right areas to bring the right people into the club. So, yeah, those people move on. They've put their stamp on it, and now we can bring in people that are going to move us on to the next level. And which final comment on James Brain and Danny Hilton, I'm not sure that, you know, that we need to reinvent too much there, Danny. You know, kick it to Lloyd Jones is plan A, plan B, and plan C. So just keep that going, and we'll still be scoring from corners.
Lovely jubbly. Right, just before we end the show, actually, Joe, I want to bring you in one more time. So I haven't told you I was going to ask you about this, but I didn't know it happened. So today, what have you been up to today? And how, as you, as Charlton Live's representative out in the drinking world, how have you tried to improve the lives of us Charlton fans who are gasping for a pint at half time?
So I've been at the. I didn't know you asked me about this either. I didn't know it was going to be mentioned, to be honest. It's been to the Valley today, just having a chat with Gavin Carter and Ed Warwick and John Blythe, just about how serving beer and some of those sort of more sort of hospitality concourses could maybe be improved. So just trying to bring some of the experience that we've got at the River, some of the things that we do at the River, and some of that sort of hospitality eye into the club. Am I saying that there's solutions in place? No. Please don't tweet me when you still can't get a beer in a couple of weeks. But what I will say is it is stunningly obvious how important our experience is to the owners. They've taken a lot of time actually out today to walk around the stadium, ask questions, be genuinely inquisitive, and ask for any experience or support that can be given. So, massive kudos to the club. They're definitely trying to move it in the right direction.
My theory is that Joe has personally gone in there and sabotaged it as much as possible, so more people have to go to the River after for beer. So that would make a lot of sense, Joe. So I hope you've done that for your own profit.
No. I'm all for the club. We'll have everybody afterwards. Don't worry. But for during the match, it's a bit of a walk to get to the River for half time. So I'm convinced that people are probably better off having a beer where they are.
There we go.
I was going to say, as long as you've not told the club to buy just Foster's and Carling jar, I'll be happy. That's the main thing. The two worst beers ever.
Nath, only for you. So you're on rations, I'm afraid. You're allowed tap water, or on a good day, Carling.
Excellent stuff. Right, as Mark says, Joe is now saying that he's fully sorted the issue. Cheers, mate. We will share Joe's Twitter page for you to tweet him with suggestions as to how to improve it every 5 minutes for the rest of the season shortly. Right, Bristol City, Saturday, buzzing. Looking forward to getting down there. I'll see you all on the train on the way down or on the way back, hopefully celebrating a decent result for the Addicts. Massive thanks to everyone who's joined us on Charlton Live this evening. Really enjoyed tonight's show. I hope you guys have too. Nathan and Joe, absolute pleasure as it always is.
Cheers, fellas.
Chin chin.
Lovely stuff. Thanks for everyone who joined us in the chat. Don't forget merch store, charltonlive.etsy.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe everywhere where you see our show. We'll be back on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. to look back at the game at Bristol City. Hopefully we'll be celebrating a decent result for the Addicts. This has been Charlton Live, the big match preview sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendes. We'll see you again on Sunday.